Walking Macau Streets. Dear Lord, show me a sign. Give me a map. Oh yeah.
Okay, we got one of Macau. We have George Chinnery Street. If you don't know George Chinnery, he's a very famous British guy who was here in the 1800s, and he was very famous for his watercoloring. And I'm going to be talking about it anyways while I'm exploring his street. But behind me, I'll put images of his work. So maybe you've seen it already. I think I'll just have work, you know, next to me, behind me this whole time. And so that's not the focus of this video anyways. The focus is the street itself. So, but at least you kind of know why the street was named what it was, and actually he lives pretty close to there as well. And we're gonna start out the street where he lived at, and it's not too far from the church, which you're also gonna see in the video. Anyways, enough, but you are getting to see all these images while I talk about it. And so that's George Chinnery's work. Okay, nonetheless, let's get into it. We have another street for you in Macau, and we're actually kind of tapping into a little bit of background of why the street is named what it is. George Chinnery Street, Macau. Let's go check it out.
Okay, so this street right here has a lot of history. It's named after somebody who's famous, George Chinnery. George Chinnery Street. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm also going to show my little mini self and try to do some information about him as well. And then we're going to walk down his street after I do that. But we're starting out here where he did a lot of artwork. And this isn't his artwork, of course, but this is kind of Portuguese references in St. Lazarus Church. And we're going to start in this location. And I guess he used to live down this street where I'm facing the camera now, but this street that I'm facing in now is the one that we're going to walk on. And that's what this video is going to be all about, is his little bit of background about him, George Chinnery. Okay. So, okay, so hopefully you got a little bit of history of him. Hopefully I showed you a little bit of that, and then and now I'm back out on the street filming again, and we're gonna show you that street that's named after him so you can see what that looks like. And then we're also at St. Lazarus Church, which is this big yellow building in the background. And he used to watercolor this building quite a bit, and also the images around here as well. So he was quite famous for his watercolors. And let me see, which way should we go? I think we're gonna walk down this way. So there was actually schools of watercolorists that would follow him. And they would come from Europe just to learn watercoloring from him, and also just because of all the images here for the Chinese world that Europe was very fascinated by at that particular time. This street right here is named after that street, which this is I think Lazarus. So he's waiting for his kids, waiting for his family. I can see him out of the corner of his eye, but so I said hello. People are really friendly here. So so this street right here, let me come back here a little bit. So this is kind of a cool little corner. Yeah, I love Macau people actually. So this is a street that he used to live on. So when I look up George Chinnery, he lived on this street, which is like Inácio Baptista. Just some reference to baptism, of course. Okay, so this street would be named, which is where George Chinnery lived at. So he would have lived somewhere on this street. But the street that is named after him is right there. And then that's the seminary, or that's the church that he would often paint. And now we're going to go down into his street, the street named after him. He'd probably be so surprised if he saw this image. You'd probably watercolor it for sure. Okay, so let's go down our target street of George Chinnery. Then we have some directions here so you can see St. Joseph's Seminary, that's up the hill quite a bit further. St. Lawrence's Church, that's the yellow one. Mandarin House is down this way, and then our target street right here is George Chinnery Street. And there it is right there, George Chinnery. It's kind of a short street, but I think he has a lot of history to the street. Otherwise they wouldn't have named it after him. So we're gonna come down and check out this one in a second because it's kind of interesting. That's the church that he would often watercolor. Probably put it in the images already. Okay. Kind of like these way these ones go downhill like this. Digital Dinosaur it's called. Okay, so I kind of want to focus on this space because it has a lot of movie memorabilia. Hong Kong, Hollywood, and Chicago, Hollywood, Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin. And this restaurant has a lot of it inside of it too. And then you got the legendary Kung Fu artist, Bruce Lee. And you've got a Titanic one. Okay. I always like seeing all the seeing inside that particular one. So we're gonna just come down here, and then our street's gonna end right at this green building up here, and that'll be George Chinnery. And then we're kind of in these nice little alleys of interesting places. So we're gonna see the sign in a second. And this is called Bazarino, like Little Bazaar. And that's the end of our street right there, George Chinnery Street. So let's take a look. So this would be the end of our street right there. Then that's also our street name, George Chinnery. So it's kind of a cool little space, and then he did a lot of watercoloring in this area, and mostly up by that church. And then he lived on that street that was parallel, and then this was named after him. And then if you went down the hill a little bit, this is like the little bazaar, little marketplace, and there's still a marketplace further down this hill. But in this particular space, there's a lot of cool little alleys throughout this area. So if you were to try to come here to George Chinnery Street, you can navigate into Little Bazarino, and you kind of enjoy some of these side streets too. So on that note, we are going to end our video. So hope you like that one.